Welcome to Paul's Kitchen. Today we're making chop suey, vegetable chop suey. And for that we have to start by making some rice, plain rice. So I have some organic long grain white rice I bought at Trader Joe. And we need a measuring vessel, so we have our Pyrex 2-cup measuring glass. We want to start by measuring using bottled water. You don't want the sink water. You want your rice to taste decent. And usually these average 2 cups, you'll see, but I'm going to measure it in here anyway. A little more than 2 cups. That's perfect. A little extra won't hurt because it's going to boil out anyway. Start with 2, I'll just leave it out. And I have over here my Calphalon saucepan. It's a non-stick pan. I'm going to put the water in there. That's 2 cups, and then we need another ½ cup. We want 2 1/2 altogether. So we got 2 1/2 cups of bottled water in there. To that we want to add 2 teaspoons of salt. So I use sea salt. And also 1 tablespoon of butter. The butter will help keep the rice grains from sticking together and also give it a nicer taste. We're not putting a lot, just a tablespoon. And you can see on the side here of the butter, it tells you how much a tablespoon is. You want to double check, but it's basically a pat of butter is a tablespoon. Throw that in the pot too. And then let's light the gas. You want to bring that to a boil. Stir that salt, butter a little bit, get it to dissolve. And I have to get my measuring cups. Now we need to measure our rice. And we only want 1 cup of rice. 1 cup of the dry rice will actually turn into over 2 cups of cooked rice. So that's more than enough. We actually won't use it all. We'll save some of the plain rice for other things. But the basic rice recipe is 1 cup, and it comes the best if you use the basic measurements. If you cut it down, it just doesn't come right. Of course, the organic rice is the best. We've got our rice there, and put this aside. And oh, here comes the kitty cat. Hi. She's coming to see what we're doing. Can you get in the other room? You want to go in there? Huh? Oh. Hi. Oh, what's the matter?
You hungry?
Yeah. She just got sick a little bit.
Yeah, feel good.
Oops.
Feel good.
There you go. There's Carol. She's getting to eat too. Okay, while we're waiting for the water to boil, which it isn't yet, we have some more of our ingredients over here. Now, chop suey is a mixture of a lot of different things, depending on what you have or what you can buy in the market. And at the Whole Foods market, I got this as bok choy. It's a kind of a cross between a Chinese celery and a cabbage. It has a nice flavor, and it's in a lot of Oriental dishes. So we want to rinse this and get a bowl. By submerging it in the water this way, you get the water in between, so it rinses out any dirt or sand. It's usually pretty clean. The grocery stores usually clean these things too. But you don't want any grit in your food. You can see the water's clean, so there's shake it out a little bit. This aside for a minute. Now I've got cutting boards here. I have two. I have my thick white one that I'll use for the harder stuff like the onions. And then I have this small thin plastic mat that I'll use for the greens. I keep them separate so we don't get the pungent oils of the onion and garlic on the greens. We don't want to mix them yet. We want to mix them when we're cooking. And I got a knife here. So first we're going to cut the end off. I don't want that. Throw it out. And we're going to slice this into about a 1/2 inch pieces. Now, you have to separate the stalk part from the leaves. So I'm going to get a little bowl here. Actually, that's very little. I'll use my measuring. Save the bowls. Because the stalks have to cook a little bit longer. So they'll cook in with the peppers. And then the greens part. Throw that in the bowl. Okay, so we got our greens chopped there. We'll set these aside for a minute. Kitty is done, so I'll pick up her food so we don't step on it. Okay. Now we also have here what we call Exit Kitty. This is a Boston lettuce. Sometimes it's also called butter lettuce in some stores. Can be either name, butter lettuce, Boston lettuce. I've already taken off some of the outside tougher leaves. It's a lettuce that's very tender and it's very good for cooking. It has a really sweet, nice flavor. We're also going to rinse this in the same way as we did the bok choy, cold water. It's probably clean, but it's a good idea to rinse it off anyway. Swirl it around, shake it back and forth. And you can see the water if you look at it, that it's clean, so you know it's okay. You saw a lot of dirt coming out, and whoops, this is really dirty. Not every market is that clean with their vegetables, so you have to wash them because you don't know. Some are and some aren't. Shake it out, squeeze it a little bit. And again, we're going to cut the end off. We don't want that. out. And this also we're going to slice to about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit less. And this bottom part, since it's all one clump, we're going to slice that too. Okay. Now I hear the water boiling, so I'm going to stop for a moment, go back to the rice because we need to get that done. So we're going to take our cup of rice, and the water is now boiling. Throw the rice into the water. Stir it. Gently stir it. And you notice it's not boiling right now, and we have to wait till it comes back up to the boil. It's just beginning. Okay, now you can see it's starting to boil, so you want to turn the gas down to 5.5, which is just about straight. And make sure it's still lit. Look underneath.
What was it at before?
It's just on high, as high as you can put as high as you want just to get it to boil on 8 or 9. Because you're just bringing the water up to a boil. I had it a little bit lower so we had time to do this. I put it on 8.5, but you can have it on 10, the highest setting. Cover the pan, and then we need the timer set 20 minutes. Okay, and then we just leave that alone. That's fine. So, get back to our other stuff. Okay, now we've got our butter lettuce or Boston lettuce. Put that in a bowl. It's good because you can do all these things. This one hard piece from the bottom I'm going to discard. Okay, set this aside. I've got my kitty food. There we go. All right. Now, I'm going to use peppers from the garden, but if we didn't have them, then you want to go to the grocery store, and which I already had bought these. Get 3 peppers about this size, which are medium-sized peppers. You don't want to use the bell peppers, those great big green ones or the red ones, because they're very tough. Those you have to cook a lot. These are like what they call frying peppers, and they'll be good for what we're doing, which is a saute. And let me get the garden peppers, which I put over here. These were just picked this morning. And now we can use our other cutting board for the pungent stuff, which peppers are, of course. Okay, you want to cut the stem end off. And also take out the seed pod that's in here. I'm just going to use my hand. Pull it out, throw it away. I'm going to do that for all the peppers. Be sure you do not touch your eyes until you wash your hands after this. Or any area near your eyes, because believe me, it will burn. These seeds are hot. Even though the peppers themselves are not, the seeds still are.
Be like pepper spray.
Yes, that's correct. It would be pepper spray. And now if these were habaneros, it would be worse than pepper spray. They are the hottest, or one of the hottest peppers of all. These are not very hot peppers. And if you wanted this dish to be super hot, which Szechuan Oriental cooking is extremely hot, then you could use jalapenos or one of the really hot peppers. But that kind of overpowers all the flavors, and you really want to taste the vegetables in this, so I wouldn't use something that hot. Use my hands of the seeds. Rinse the knife off of the seeds. Thank you. Paper towel. Okay, so now we want to slice these peppers into rings first, about 1/16 of an inch. And we don't want the tips. We're doing this to make them cook a little bit more evenly and a little faster, because we're going to be doing a stir fry, which goes really quick once you throw the stuff in there. We don't want to have to wait for these things to cook. Because once we throw in the Boston or butter lettuce and the leaves of the bok choy, it's going to be just about done. You just want it to cook maybe a few minutes, because those will cook really fast. Peppers and the stem of the bok choy will take the longest, and then after that will come the onions, and then the leaves. Okay, remember, you don't want those little stems. Now we got all these rings, see, pepper rings. We want to cut these again, just about in half. Throw them in a bowl. You just don't want gigantic chunks of pepper, so we just cut these a little more. Doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's cut up. Pile them up and cut them one at a time. Doesn't matter. By making these pieces, you make it a lot easier when you cook them. Even if they're really big, when you get to the bigger rings, you can cut them twice, like these big ones here. Cut them a little bit more. Just think of yourself when you're going to eat it, and you don't want to get a big chunk of pepper.
Especially if it's a hot one.
Yeah, if it was a habanero, you don't want too much anyway. You burn your mouth so badly you won't taste anything else. For quite a while. Taste buds would be out of commission for a while. Those are too hot for me. Plus, if you don't have good digestion, then you really suffer if you eat habanero. Almost done with the pepper. And it's good because we do this as the rice is cooking, so you're not wasting any time. There's our peppers, all done. See them right there. Now we have an onion. You can see on the bottom it says organic. It's an organic onion. These are Vidalia onions, which are sweet onions. There's different kinds of onions, and if you look at the market, you'll have the plain yellow, plain yellow onions, which are the least expensive generic onion. They're a little stronger. You'll have Hawaiian onions, and then you have Vidalia onions. The Hawaiian and the Vidalia are very sweet, and they're not too strong. They won't make you cry when you cut them. And we're going to cut the two ends off. Throw those away. Also, these have a nice smell.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes left.
Give me a warning when it's like about 3.
Yeah.
We'll switch. And what we're doing is peeling the outside layers off. Let's use my hands. There we go. Throw that out. So we have a nice, clean onion. And you just have to cut into the outside layer and then just peel around. Get the skin out of here. Wipe off the knife again. Now you want to slice this up into dices, or dice it up if you want to call it that. So first you cut it in half this way. Well, actually not in half, almost in half. You want to cut down, but not all the way through. Down as far as you can get without cutting through. You're going to make actually slices that are about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. Slice. Try not to go down all the way through. If you go down through, the onion will fall apart and you defeat the purpose. And if they're a little bit bigger, it's okay. Okay, we went this way. Now we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to do the same thing the other way. And you have to hold the onion together now, because now it's cut one way, it'll fall apart. Slice down, 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 turn it around, down, down. So now we've done crisscross. You can see little squares. Now we turn the onion on its side, and we slice down. And there you go. So you have diced onion. That's a little trick to dicing an onion. Instead of standing there, slicing it, and then chopping, chopping, chopping for a long time.
Is that a 1/2 inch wide?
Yeah. Well, no, not even a half. I'd say 1/4. They're kind of small. If I break them up with my hand, you'll see they're a little bit smaller than what they're stuck together right now. They'll fall apart once we start sauteing. Okay, now you still have that bottom piece of the onion, which is kind of tough, so I'm going to take off these tough layers here. Actually, they're all, yeah, we don't need any of that. This is more than enough. We'll get rid of those. We don't want any tough onions. Chop suey. I'll throw these into the paper plate. When you're scraping with the knife, be sure you use the back side so you don't ruin your blade. Okay, so we've got our onions. Smell nice. Set those aside. And the rice is still going. Got 10 minutes on the rice. How much time are we good for?
7 minutes.
Oh, okay. We got our peppers. Now I also have here, this is an exotic Oriental type of basil that we have out in our garden. It's different from the other big leaf basil that you normally see. And this has already been cleaned, so I'm just going to take, we don't want any stems, you just want leaves. So you're just going to pick some of the leaves off with your hand. Don't need to cut them with a scissor. Look for good leaves without any black marks. Make sure there's no defects on them. The ones that have defects, just discard them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 8 of these leaves. I'm just going to slice them a little bit here, so you can see. That brings out the oils in the leaf and the flavor. And it doesn't matter the size, just cut them up. And I'll throw these in a measuring cup. Since it's so little. And one more ingredient we have to cut, and that is our good old friend parsley. Unfortunately, my parsley outside is used up, so I had to buy this at the Whole Foods market. And you basically want to take just a little handful. You don't have to measure parsley. Like this, just a handful. Rinse it. And as you're rinsing it, squeeze gently. If there's any dirt or anything in there, it will come out as you do that. Hold it, pull your hand shut, hold it tight, shake the water out. Okay, and then this also you want to slice, maybe 1/4 inch. If you get a stem, take it out. This will throw in with the basil. They're the same consistency. You're going by consistencies and how they're going to cook. That goes in with the basil. to go. So now basically we're waiting for our rice, because that has to be done, because when we start using the wok, everything has to be ready to go in there. It's going to go pretty fast. Okay. So we'll stop for a minute and just get set up for the next phase, which will be the wok.
Go.
Okay, we also have some garlic that has to go in there. We want 2 cloves. Again, this is a head of garlic. A clove is a piece. We want 2 of those. I'm going to break 2 off. I want decent sized ones. And I've got a knife that I always use for garlic. I want to cut the ends off. And then take the skin off. If you see any brown spots on the garlic, make sure you cut them off. You don't want to eat that. And if it's brown all the way through that part, discard it. Use another piece. Sometimes it's a little tough. There we go. And since that one piece was not very good, break off another one. When you see a black spot like that, there can be bacteria in the garlic. And since garlic is one of the ground vegetables that can harbor botulism, you don't want to eat any part of the garlic that has spots or any kind of blemishes. Now here I have a garlic press, very handy. It takes the fiber, and there's actually still skin on here of a kind, and this takes it off, so all you have is pure essence of garlic. Okay, there's our rice is done. Just shut the gas off and shut the timer off. We'll continue with our garlic for a minute. It's almost done. As you can see here, here's that skin, okay, garlic skin that we took off. Just dump it off here. Put our other piece in there. Squeeze, and you see you have all these little pieces on the bottom. And that's just the essence, the inside of the garlic, no skin, no. And that helps you with digestion. You won't get gas or indigestion. There's all that other fiber and skin that comes off, which usually is what people cook with. They cook with the whole clove. We don't want that this time. Okay. All right, now we'll pause again, and then we'll come back to the wok. Welcome back from our little break, and now we're set up to actually make the chopped suey and cook it on the stove. Here's our rice in the calphalon pan. The liquid's cooked out. This is a little bit hot. Let me get this out of the way here. And you want to break the rice up in the pan by stirring it with a fork. You see how you have nice loose granules. It smells nice. The water has evaporated. You just want to loosen it up. You don't want it all stuck together. Okay, so our rice is ready. And what we want is cup of rice is what we're going to use. So to get it ready, we'll just scoop out a cup of rice. The rest of the rice you can save, use it for eat it plain or use it in other dishes. Okay, the rice ready, and I can move this back out of the way. Put the rice aside. Now, this is a wok. It's a big Chinese pan used for stir frying. And we want to get the heat going. And I'm putting it on 8.5, which is kind of high. We'll turn it down once it gets going. And see what I'm doing with the oil? I'm drizzling it around the outside so that it drips around the sides of the wok. Because we're going to actually be stir frying this stuff around. As for how much oil, I don't know if you can see with the camera, but that's about 1/4 of a cup. It doesn't have to be exact. Okay, and we're going to get a stirring wooden spoon. Wood is best because it doesn't contribute any flavors. It's better than using metal. This is also calphalon, so it really helps. It won't stick. but the oil is for flavoring and for cooking. I'm going to get ready here. We've got our pepper and the tough parts of the bok choy. That's going to be the first things I'm going to throw in there. Actually, this first. Just have to let it heat up a little bit. And it's good to use olive oil because it has a nice flavor. If you don't like olive oil, you could use any other kind of oil that you prefer. Grapeseed oil has no taste to it at all and still cooks well, so you could use that. It's also healthy for you. And you can swirl the oil around a little bit in the wok. Helps it heat faster. So the wok gives you a lot of surface area to cook on. Drop one piece in. See it sizzling, so you know that it's hot enough. So we're going to throw in a bok choy, and we're going to turn the gas down to 6. And stir frying is just what it says. You're going to stir these around against the sides of the wok. And it's all this metal area is going to help to cook these vegetables. Now you hear the sizzling went down. We're going to turn this up a little more. What happens is the coolness of the vegetable cools the oil down. You don't want it to cool down too much. So just turn it back up till it starts sizzling a lot again. If you turn it too high, it will smoke and it won't taste very good. So I have it right now on 8. Turn it up a little more to get it sizzling. It seems like a long time, but we're going to do this for about a minute. Just approximate. If you want to set a timer, you can. You can also feel it as you're stirring it, as it starts to get a little bit softer. Just keep stirring it against the sides of the wok. That helps to cook it. Okay, that's about long enough. Now we can add the peppers. Now that we're adding more stuff, I'm going to leave this up on 8 because it's going to cool the oil down quite a bit. I'm going to stir again. And you see the oil cools down right away from the coldness of the pepper. It'll come back.
How long do you want to stir the pepper before you add the next ingredient?
1 to 2 minutes. And again, it's kind of the feel. You can feel it with the wooden spoon as it starts to get a little bit soft. Mm-hmm. We don't want it completely soft because we're still going to be cooking more stuff in here. But you want it to begin to get soft. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of more by feel and by time. Time is approximate. If you want to time it, I would give it 2 minutes if you want to set a time. This wok is nice because it has a handle. Some of the woks have these, you see the metal on the other side here. Some have 2 of those, and then you have to use a pot holder because it gets hot. You burn your hand. If you look inside here, you can see how nice and green the vegetables stay because they're being stir-fried. They don't turn black or gray or wilt. Stir-frying is very healthy. Okay, feel like that's softening. So now we have our onion. That's the next, going in order of firmness and rapidity of cooking. The most firm things first, which was the bok choy. Then the pepper is the next. And then the onion is the next. Again, it starts to cool down. Turn the gas a little higher, 8.5, so we don't wait so long. You can always turn it back down if it starts sizzling too much. I'm just going to press these down for a minute. Turn this back down to 8. And over here I have a can of vegetable broth, organic vegetable broth. I'm going to open it with a can opener. And you want 1 cup of vegetable broth. Getting this ready while the onion is cooking. In that, I'll put 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. You don't have to level this off. It's okay if it heats a little bit over the top. Cornstarch is a thickening agent and it's natural from corn, of course. And I've got over here a little wire whisk to help to mix. I want to mix that cornstarch and the chicken vegetable broth. You can use chicken broth too, by the way. We'll mix it again before we add it, but just so that's ready. So leave this here so it doesn't spill. Got garlic over here. Stir. Starting to smell nice. We're going to throw in our garlic. So that went for at least 2 minutes. More time on that. That's why you don't have to do each individual one that long, because now the bok choy has been in there maybe 4 minutes and the peppers for 3. So it adds up. Because you don't want the vegetables to get too soggy, then you have a bunch of mush. Garlic is a really nice aroma. Notice we're not browning the onion. Some recipes you want to brown the onion. We do not want to brown it this time. That would give a caramel type flavor and we're not looking for that. Okay. Turn the heat up back to 8 again. Or 8.5, sorry. And next we'll throw in the leaves of the bok choy. They're a little harder than the leaves of that salad. So going by what's harder, what takes longer to cook. The things that cook the least go last, so they don't overcook. You see, that's starting to look really nice. And it's nice in Oriental cooking because they keep the vegetables very fresh, very green. If you were to steam these or boil them, you get that grayish look. And this way they stay really green. They look very much more appetizing this way. And you can see the leaves have wilted already. They don't take very long. Next we'll go the parsley and the basil. That's mostly for added flavor. Real fast. 30 seconds for that. And our butter lettuce, Boston lettuce, whatever they want to call it in Australia. Called by both names. Stir. That's really cool, so it's going to cool this down quite a bit. So while it's reheating a little bit, I'm going to run and get my spices. I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt. Sprinkle it on top. I'm going to stir it in. teaspoon of soy sauce. No more than that. This stuff's strong. And let's see where I put my pepper, so I'll grab this one. Black pepper. Half teaspoon black pepper. And now we'll stir again. This lettuce will cook really fast. Just keep stirring it around, mixing it up, blends the flavors together. Really down, so I'm going to turn the heat up to get that sizzle back in. Sometimes you get more lettuce depending on how big the head is that you buy. Some are smaller, some are bigger. And of course the more you put in at once, then the wok cools down quite a bit. So you need to bring the temperature back up to get the sizzle back. You can hear it sizzling again. You have to watch it, you don't want anything to burn. Yeah, you see everything's soft now. You can feel it with the wooden spatula. Now I come back to the chicken broth. Now you don't have to add all of this. The mix is a cup to a tablespoon of cornstarch. We're going to judge by eye. Make sure you keep stirring this because the cornstarch settles. So let's start with maybe half a cup. That probably will be enough. Let's see. Yes, it is. You could use the rest of that for something else. Because you don't want soup. What we're doing is we're making a thickening sauce for the chopped suey. Now, it depends on the vegetables you're using, too. Since this is a mix of various things, if you're using other vegetables, you might use more of the broth. It depends. Some vegetables absorb more than others. You can see how that's gotten thick.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice and saucy. And turn off your gas. And then, last, we've got our cup of rice. It's already cooked, don't forget. And just stir in your rice. The rice will absorb some of that liquid too. Again, we don't want a soup. This is a vegetable dish. Stir it up till it's all mixed. If you like less rice, you can put less. If you like more rice, you can put more. This is about the right amount. If you're eating it as it is. If you want to add more rice later, you always could, which is better. And then this is going to go out into a bowl. You can see what it looks like. And I believe I have a big bowl here. You don't want to leave it in the wok because it's going to keep cooking because the wok is hot and it's already cooked. You don't want to cook it anymore. That's enough. So you want a cold, not cold, but it's room temperature, I should say, bowl, so it stops cooking. Cook long enough. There you are. There's your nice Chinese vegetable chop suey ready to eat. Thank you for cooking with me. See you next time.